Walking was not exactly home, but it seemed more like gliding. They went from a picnic area to another light trail.
Installation complete.
Hello and welcome to Command & Conquer Tiberian Dawn. This is Westwood Studios' 1995 classic RTS game. It wasn't the first RTS game, but much in the same way that Wolfenstein 3D did for shooters, this is the game that kind of popularized the genre. My name is Sven Vanderplank. This is the second game I'm playing on this channel. I've been doing videos for a month now, and I really wanted to branch out and have two different games running concurrently. So going forward, starting in February, I'm going to have Westwood Studio games at 1 o'clock and then continue with id Software games on the 2 o'clock slot. So in this series I'll be playing every level in the original game as well as all the levels from the expansion, Covert Operations. This includes all the different branching paths as well, so I think ordinarily you'd only play about a dozen missions per campaign, the GDI and Nod campaign. But I think there's about 20 plus levels that you could play throughout, and I'm going to try and cover every single one of them, as well as the fun park missions as well. So without further delay, let's watch the opening cinematic, and we'll go from there.
The Grain Trade Center in Vienna was the 17th urban bombing in 4 weeks, blamed on Nod terrorists.
The Security Commission remains in closed session tonight following Nod terrorist actions in Slovenia.
At least your mother tipped well.
Harsh, unforgiving wilderness.
New Tiberium harvesting methods instituted by the Brotherhood of Nod increase profitability by 49%.
Nod Tiberium holdings now account for almost half of the world's known supply, giving the quasi-terrorist group incredible leverage in the London Gold Exchange. On the domestic side,
Cover of Tiberium ignored reporters at Hong Kong's Second World Tiberium Economic Impact Summit. Mobius is expected to refute charges from the scientific community that Tiberium might be dangerous.
بني مع اللون الأصفر.
As the GDI forces take off in another Nod assault, the free world holds its breath. This is Greg Burdett, WWN, somewhere in the Mediterranean.
Are you picking this up? Deactivate your defense matrix.
So that is our introduction to Command & Conquer. That video introduces several elements of the story, namely the two factions, Nod. Nod at first is introduced as a terrorist faction responsible for several terrorist attacks in Europe, but later in the video you see that they have incredible knowledge of Tiberium, this new element that's being found, and this is giving them incredible wealth as the world starts to exploit Tiberium. Another element of the story that's introduced is kind of media manipulation, which plays into the story a wee bit later on. You see that the GDI and Nod logos are kind of fading in and out throughout that video, kind of suggests that, hey, maybe this channel is being paid for or manipulated by this faction. And finally, of course, we have Tiberium itself, the element that gives the game its name, Although originally the game was just called Command & Conquer, it's since been retroactively given the title Tiberian Dawn, which is the title that the development studio actually worked with before they went with Command & Conquer. So with introductions out of the way, it's time to start playing the game. You have a choice right at the start of which campaign you're going to play first. You can either pick GDI or you can pick the Brotherhood of Nod. I'm going to go with a mix of the two. I'm going to alternate between the two campaigns. I really want to end on the GDI campaign, the final GDI missions, as I guess the canon ending of the game, but nothing in the Nod campaign directly conflicts with the GDI campaign, so I kind of consider both canon, unless of course, well, it depends on the ending. There are multiple endings to the Nod campaign, and some of them will conflict with later events in the later games. I'm going to alternate between the two, so I'm going to go GDI, Nod, GDI, Nod, GDI, Nod, etc. But at several points in the game I'm going to do 2 in a row from 1, so in those instances I find it thematically works to go with 2 missions in a row. And also the new technology as the game progresses is introduced at roughly the same points in both campaigns, but I want to try and keep it balanced, so when a new piece of technology pitches up in one side of the story, it also pitches up in the other side at the same time, so sometimes that requires a wee bit of changing the order of missions. But for the most part, I will just stick to back and forth. Eventually, once I've completed this Let's Play, I'm going to link it all together with annotations on screen, allowing you to pick the options that you want, the paths through the game, because there are branching paths. For the moment though, I'm going to pick the Brotherhood of Nod to start with, and that will be its own video coming soon.